Welcome to the Week in Italian Startup, where we discuss the latest highlights happening in the Italian tech and investment ecosystem. So, Deorbit confirmed the closing of the 100 million announced back in November 2023. Marubeni led the round with CDP Venture Capital, United Ventures, Primo Ventures, Neva SGR, Indaco Venture Partner, and Seraphim Space. So, Nick, what is your take on that? Deorbit is doing like a great job since basically the inception of the company. And of course, you guys like participated. So, what is your feel on this round?
Well, I'm bullish, of course. No, I mean, this is very, very good news for the European space ecosystem. First of all, because this is one of the biggest rounds in a private company in Europe operating in the space economy. Um, and from really international investors with very diverse backgrounds. Marubeni, as you said, it's a corporation from Japan. Avant-Garde, that's a family office, a good bunch of Italian funds. So there is a lot of interest and willingness to bring this forward. And not to talk about what is actually the Orbit doing as a company. So we are just starting with the space economy, with the space exploration, private space economy in particular, not just the one led by governments. And the Orbit is already positioning as a player thinking in a circular way. So you take stuff, you bring stuff up, and you build a capability of bringing stuff up and managing it, but also cleaning up and taking stuff down when you need to decommission. So the whole life cycle of space tech. And this has been in their vision since the beginning. So I think more than 10 years ago. So it is very, very, very nice and exhilarating seeing this vision, this idea. It was crazy back then, taking actually shape and coming to the market.
Yeah. I mean, my feeling is that the orbit might be the AWS of space. So it kind of started like I remember when they started, the focus was mostly about decommissioning old satellite and basically solving like the space junk problem, which is a hidden problem that nobody really thinks about, but is massive. So a lot of like junk orbiting around and a lot of like new satellites coming up. So there might be a breaking point right there. So really well positioned. And then yeah, the vision definitely like kept going and expanded, and now they're really much more focused on logistics, space logistic, last mile satellite delivery, mission control as a service of basically already launched spacecraft. So this thing totally took like a very very big shape, and I think from the number we've seen they deployed already like 100 satellite across 13 mission, and they hosted about 42 payloads. And this is probably one of the largest round raised by a space tech company in Europe. So
Mhm.
that's
It's
impressive.
nice. And I think they
Talking about
closed
vision,
60, I think they closed 60 million in contracts last year. So that's sizable
exactly,
number,
exactly,
not too bad.
yeah. And the interesting angle is that they play both the private sector and the public sector, so with massive contract. So that's again, they're taking advantage of a kind of well-established like a public industry, but at the same time they're working with the up and coming like private companies working into space tech in general. And
Yeah,
talk
I like from the article that I linked. I like the one of the comments from the CEO that like if you're a telco company, you know how to manage communication, not how to handle satellites, right? So let me do that part of the job, and
yeah,
you do yours. And that's nice.
yeah,
That means that you are basically seeing the market specializing. So the different
yeah.
layers of the space tech market are, starting to see the specialized players getting in. So I wouldn't say it's mature. It's mature, not, but it is maturing. So it's
Mhm.
very interesting.
Awesome. And one little detail which I think is interesting is that they had a plan to actually list on the NASDAQ, and they
The SPAC.
abandoned that plan. Exactly, as a SPAC. And basically, the reading on TechCrunch, the idea was that there is still about some debt on the cap table, about 20 million from a bond that basically is still out there. I mean, not necessarily a bad thing for sure. I mean, as long as the bond is kind of working. But it's interesting that they kind of like took a very bold position and kind of get back given the very slowdown of the IPO market. And as we all know, 2023 was not an ideal condition. So that's interesting. That's definitely interesting details. What is your feel on this one?
on the.
On the strategic move of kind of backing up from the SPAC IPO like dynamic.
Well, I mean, I don't know the details of how it blew up, but it's of course a combination of market conditions and maybe market conditions in terms of financial markets and the economy at large. Uh, so it's not the only one that blew up last year. It's one of the many. I don't know. I think there are contrasting. I've got contrasting feelings. I mean, in a way, if you go public, you've got some access to a measure here of liquidity and the feeling that you're more mature than a private company. But if you stay private, you gain probably speed and agility. So I think, and this round shows that maybe that there is still a lot of liquidity that you can get access to in the private markets, and
Good
you can
point.
put
Yeah.
into. I wouldn't be surprised if the IPO market starts again in 1 or 2 years, to see the idea of listing the company floating back again on the surface. But we'll see.
Good
It,
point.
it, it really depends on market conditions in terms of financial markets and the economy at large and the demand for space services. We'll see.
Awesome. All right, talking about the protagonist of the last months and year, AI, generative AI in particular. So, generative AI is old. We're moving toward performance generative AI. So, content.com, AI based content generation platform for high performing content, raised 18 million in a Series B, led by Alchemia Capital and Thomson Reuters Ventures. So the company has a very interesting approach because, of course, it's not just about generating content through large language models. They are really taking it to the next level, where the idea is really to make content which is extremely effective on the marketing standpoint and on performance in particular. So they're really, first of all, well aware on competition. So from the kind of product that they're building, the idea is really to give a service that is aware of what's going on around the content that you're trying to push in terms of what's there in the market. But at the same time, they also include very powerful SEO logic just to be the most effective in generating like specialized content. And this is another proof that Gen AI is transitioning toward like specialization of some sort, and it's a great application actually.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, I think it's a market that's huge, the content generation part and content handling in a sense. And there are many players around, but it's nice to see that we've got some measure opportunity as well. And I have to add this is probably the culmination of a 2023 that where we've seen contents.com as a avid acquirer of other companies. So they've been building up their capabilities for quite a bit. I think they made 3 acquisitions last year. So they consolidated the company with talent, technology, access to markets, and as we can see, this round is probably the next step of growth that was started from and prepared last year in 2023.
Awesome. All right, quickly a note on a very particular company working in biotech, but biotech in a different way. So, mycelium might become the king of sustainable material. Sqim, biotech startup, raising 11 million last week in a round led by CDP. with participation of ECBF, VC, Caring Ventures, Progress Tech Transfer. So essentially, this company is using fungal mycelium, which is the vegetative state of mushrooms, to manufacture upcycle goods. So they produce like different things, including like acoustic panels, tiles, elements for building houses. And yeah, mycelium has been a trend. Has been trending, I would say, in 2023 as like explore from an exploratory perspective. People have been trying to use that to build things that are extremely sustainable. And yeah, I mean, these guys managed to raise a good chunk of capital, I would say, and that's very promising, probably in the building and construction industry.
Yeah, agreed. Very interesting from fungi. Um, is one of those areas where I know really nothing. I was taking a look at the investors. So other than CDPVC that led the round, there's also Caring Ventures that I would say is a corporate VC, Progress Tech Transfer, and ECBF VC that I didn't know before. And that's the acronym for European Circular Bioeconomy Fund. So it's a very specific investment thesis, I would say from the name.
Awesome.
Hmm. 300
Great.
million says Crunchbase raised by this fund. So it's
Yeah.
quite a bit of firepower.
Awesome. Going back to AI, actually. So, chatbots need empathy. Empathy for the successful execution of human interaction is kind of a given. We do it naturally. That was not the case for chatbots, especially at the beginning of chatbots, when it was just information bouncing back off some database of some sort. So now Indigo AI is actually integrating empathy into this kind of interaction. So chatbots, my feel is that chatbots are coming back strongly when people thought actually they were like, okay, see, yeah, nice to have, but not so much. Kind of a pain before generative AI. Now it's coming back hard, and Indigo is definitely riding this wave. So Indigo raised 2.5 million from a controlling shareholder, Vedrai, that's another AI company working on mostly like data analytics. So very good integration, very good collaboration, and definitely Indigo has been like making waves in the ecosystem, being recognized a lot, and working extremely well with the big corporations. So good job on their side for sure, and I'm sure that they would help the growth very much.
Yeah, yeah. I have to say kudos to the founders of Indigo. They were around pushing for chatbots, where chatbots were fallible things that nobody really liked. But they had this vision of where we are today, basically. The technology would mature and bring us to this exact point. So it's nice to see that dry is giving more firepower to the team to continue building on their vision. So very happy to see this happening. It is interesting because, as I said in the newsletter, Vedrai actually acquired a controlling stake in Indigo not long ago. So the way the brand is announced is basically they left the Indigo team freedom to operate, and they built the relationships in a investor, so financial operator uh, slash investee relationship. So that's interesting to see.
Awesome. Quick mention, Italian company Fedrigoni Group, one of the market leader in the luxury paper industry. So basically, these guys are the legendary manufacturer, or the Fabriano paper that both me and you in middle school would go crazy doing technical drawing on. Has an active CVC activity. I need to disclose that us as a company, we've been helping them with the CVC activity. And they concluded this year, actually last week, a very interesting investment in Sharpend, which is IoT startup, basically bridging the gap between hardware and then software experience. So they have this technology where they can provide very interesting and compelling experience for packaging solution, paper, anything that kind of can be scanned, and they have a massive like tracking element integrated, which really give like a powerful, which gives the superpower actually to the software in terms of tracking and performance analytics. So good job on the company. The company is massive. It's basically the revenue is more than 2 billion euro per year. They've been growing by acquisition, and they're becoming more and more sensitive to tech in general. So that's extremely interesting and a great example, honestly. So that's cool.
Nice.
All right, Nick, let's finish with Bending Spoon. Tell us
Yeah, I
something.
think I think they need a mention here because one after the other they were at the center of two announcements. One with the acquisition of Meetup, uh, that Meetup, the community and events management platform that's used worldwide by any type of community handling and managing events, and by acquiring or being the acquirer of Mosaic apps, a bunch of apps of productivity and management apps for from the article more than $100 million. So two sizable acquisitions, I would say, that they clearly tell the strategy by many schools of being very aggressive in growth and diversifying and building their product portfolio. Remember that 2 years ago, or not later than the last year, they acquired Evernote, so another very well known player from the Silicon Valley. So they they've been they are becoming a global player. So nice to see.
100%. All right, so this concludes the week's episode of the Week in Italian Startup. Thank you, everyone for joining. Thank you, Nick, and until next time.
Thank you, Jack. Take care. See you everybody in a week.